Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, I want to go talk about a somewhat serious topic that now keeps on seeming to be popping up again, and again. And it happened a lot yesterday, and I even mentioned this if you guys saw my video yesterday too, where it kind of seems like we're getting to this point where everything in the world isn't really feeling nice when it comes to gaming. We're kind of seeing the big issue of like physical ownership kind of even becoming obsolete, even if you do physically own the game itself. And right now it just kind of seems like gaming as a whole is really losing a very nice charm that I've always had when I was growing up. Collecting games, holding games, and physically having something in your hand to really go and play and plug into your console. Now, we've kind of touched on this topic every now and then. I think you guys probably know my stance. I really like the idea of game preservation. I like the idea of us be able to like use our games in disc and collect stuff and have stuff and have a chance to pass things on to maybe like little brothers, sisters, nephews, whatever. But it makes me really sad because these past few weeks especially have highlighted on how, well, kind of needed this stuff is. And we've covered some of these videos and kind of covered some of these topics, and I'll kind of recash some of this stuff, but it's just really sad to see that physical is basically just gone. And I did actually make a video on this a few days ago, and it actually I think did relatively well in terms of people agreeing and comments and all of that. And I would hope a lot of you guys would agree with this video too. So if you guys will sit back and kind of listen to my rambles and rants and everything when it comes to this one, because if this is a little bit near and dear to your heart, please leave a comment down below or like the video, give me your thoughts on it down below, or even subscribe if you guys like my hopefully random rambles. But at the same time, this is still, I think, somewhat of a big problem. Now, if you guys probably heard and saw us talk about this before, we mentioned that yesterday, Xbox was out. There was a big outage, there was big issues, and a lot of people weren't actually able to go and play and even run the games that they own. You would try to go launch the game, you'd play it, and then basically have hey, we're just waiting for the online server to connect. And then obviously with the online servers being down, you were never actually able to basically connect to the game and play the game you own. Even if it was a physical game inside your actual Xbox console, you were not able to play it. Now, there was a few things you could basically have run it offline, etc., but some people were losing like save data, cloud server issues, and all of that basically made it so the game itself wasn't really there. And a lot of people kind of brought this to note, saying, isn't this Xbox sudden outage just another reason we should be concerned about not owning the media we buy? And as I said, like, this is one of the biggest, like, toppest comments over here for the entire thing. And we talked about this yesterday, talked about the drama for this, saying I can't even sign in to play my physical media with my own save files. This is nonsensical. And I would agree. I talked about this yesterday, and I agree on this yesterday. And at the same time, it's a weird mixture because the world is moving towards a digital age. It has been for quite some time. And if you guys don't realize that, you're kind of, well, I think hiding him underneath the rock. Because at this point, like, everything is physical. PlayStation Plus, streaming, when it comes to Amazon games, Netflix, everything. Like, basically the point where we're basically making TV 2.0 when it comes to people having all these different types of subscription services. Even things like YouTube TV is literally just TV, but on your computer screen itself. And we also had a lot of other bigger issues these past few weeks. And this is why I think it sucks, because I want to have I think the moral of the story, I want pure games available to be played on my game discs if we're going the disc route. And I want to make sure that in the future, if there's like issues with online, issues with servers, issues with clouds, whatever, which will most likely happen, it happened the past 2 days on both PlayStation and Xbox, like, it's a big enough concern, then I want to be able to go play any game I want to with no issues, or not having to go and sign into an account, or have to worry about the PlayStation Network being online, or Xbox Game Pass, like if my subscription runs out, but I own the game, and there's some weird caveat issues, whatever. Because as you guys have probably seen, we've been seeing this kind of segue off of everything, and that's what makes me really sad. A few months ago, we saw that Walmart is going to be removing physical video games from stores, starting with Xbox. And this was a few months ago, and right now, most of these places like Best Buy, Target, Walmart are barren. And this is like number one, the biggest issue, because I want to be able to go play my games and get physical copies. It's not the end-all be-all. Most of my games buying is on digital. Maybe I'm part of the problem. I understand that. But it still sucks. Because I know that they're, like, back in the day, my GameCube era, my PS1 era, PS2 era, I used to be able to go and share games with my friends. They're going, I can still run some of these games on my same GameCube that still works all these years later. Same on my N64, my family Super Nintendo. And it sucks, because even sometimes now with these people having these physical discs, they are still having issues. And it sucks. It really sucks. I really feel like this is an end of an era, and we're all kind of living it. It's one of those things that are just slowly tapering away. And even if people complain about it or make videos about it like this or talk about it, it's just not feasible. It's just not possible. It's just not making money. Because even though Walmart's getting removed, all this stuff, and Target and Best Buy, you can still, I guess, technically buy things on Amazon or whatever. But one of the bigger issues over here is that some of these things are actually still being gradually stopped by production. We made a video on this too. We've talked about a lot of this type of stuff because it actually is somewhat near and dear to my heart. Is that Sony is reportedly gradually stopping production of Blu-ray discs. And this doesn't mean 1-to-1 that it's always going to be the PlayStation games or it's going to be gone tomorrow, but we see that the trend is out. We see that right now games as a whole are meant to be switched to digital, which is still okay. Like, most people are okay with this. I'm okay with it. Like, I don't want to be like, oh my god, this is like horrible. I'm freaking out. Like, oh my god, panic, panic, panic. But it sucks because when we have these outages, we have these PlayStation Network issues, we have game like licensing rights now once again going away too. Where right now, Forza fans, they did get a good, like, this is still, like, they're trying, like, Xbox is trying. They gave out a free copy of Forza Horizon 4 because they are getting, the game is being removed off, like, Xbox Game Pass, off of the actual online itself. You can't even buy it on the store because of licensing rights, because you just can't do it. And this is another big issue, is that even if you can go and own these games, sometimes they will just disappear. Just disappear into the void. Now, Microsoft did a really cool thing, and I think it was a cool thing. They gave anyone out there a free, basically, copy of the game itself for Forza Horizon 4. This is great. But once again, like, it just, we don't know. This is like the big control, these big companies, and they make the final say on these things. There is nothing stopping PlayStation from being like, we're never going to sell this again, or your disc just do not work. PS6, you got to download every game out there. Or Nintendo, who just never releases the games again. Like, Nintendo is very notorious for holding and sitting on old school games they can easily go and emulate and put on their Nintendo Switch console and for people to go buy. They'll hold on these things and never sell them, and people get sad, and some people even just switch to pirating and emulating out games because they just don't have a way to buy these games. So it leads to all these issues. Because I just want to be able to go have my own physical game disc work on the on PlayStation and Xbox, on the Switch, whatever. At the same time, I want to make sure anything I go and buy digitally is not taken away from me, like it's happening with Forza. And this is a huge issue everywhere. And people are waking up to this. Like, these past few weeks have been horrible, 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 horrible too as well. And a good example is even for this. And now I know this is very niche, but it does happen. Like, some people are out there, like, you know, in the middle of nowhere with bad internet. Maybe they're traveling. Maybe they're, I don't know what. There's a lot of excuses for it. There's data caps still everywhere, all this type of stuff. Maybe you literally live in the boonies, middle of nowhere, where even Alan Wake's 2 physical release actually required a download on Xbox. So even if you buy these physical copies, you still are kind of tied to these companies, whether it's from the PlayStation or Xbox Network or Game Pass, whether it's due to licensing rights that sometimes these games have issues. And guess what? If there's a licensing issue, and even if you have the physical disc, if there's online capabilities like Forza Horizon, there is an issue that you won't get it. Like, they'll get the game, but the game was removed. Like, the game itself was quite literally gone. And if it's on the end of life status, we have nothing to kind of basically do to combat against that. And this is where people are getting worried. Even Red Threads out here being like, is it even worth it to buy physical copies of games anymore? Do you guys understand on how heartbreaking this is to see from someone who is not necessarily that old, but I'm not necessarily that young, because I love this stuff. Like, I was a big believer in physical copies, mostly because if I didn't like a game, I could go down to the local GameStop and get rid of it, or trade it with your friend, or let your friend loan it. But along came the pandemic, and the supply chain issues, and trying to find a Series X was damn near impossible on my way for a long time. So eventually I got a Series S, and was able to upgrade to an X last Christmas, but they weren't really buying many more physical games. And people are like, is there any point for this too as well? I love this. I like having the drive. Like having the option. I like having a chance to collect my games. And on that rare chance, I can only plug in my game when like the internet's out and I can still enjoy it. But as we saw with this big Xbox and PlayStation Network outage, it's just not there. It's still in control of the big companies. It's still in control of what they allow. Some games have perpetual downloads that you can't even play the game or launch the game from a day one patch without it, and it ruins it for people. Now, this is a very very niche issue. I'm still okay with this. I don't mind digitally downloading games. Most of mine are. But it makes me so heartbroken seeing the fact that we're losing physical copies, that even physical copies have issues launching their games, like we even see on top of this. And as well that sometimes these games, even if you own them on the digital side, get phased out, removed. Look at the Crew 2, the Crew. That happened to all these people too. Same thing too as well with this Forza that's popping up, like these licensing issues and music issues and all of this. And sometimes you can fix it by going offline, but that's not always the fix, not always the case. And right now, all these game consoles, Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox, are just making me disappointed. Maybe I'm old, maybe I'm a boomer, let me know in the comment section down below, but it really does make me sad. I feel like we're losing an era of video games, I feel like we're losing like the soul we had for games, and I don't mind if things are on digital. I'm in the times, I have Game Pass, I buy my games online, I have had Steam for like 13 years at this point, but even then, it still feels like there's a part of my soul, especially for the gaming, that's going away. Now, it's a little bit of a random video, and I hope you guys don't mind, but it did kind of hurt me a lot with this Xbox issue, so give me your thoughts and comments on everything down below. Subscribe if you guys are new, you guys can swing by the Twitter and Twitch down below, and I appreciate y'all for watching in the first place.